What is up, fellas? Everybody, how are you on this beautiful Friday evening? It's your boy JC with the Patrick Pucci Fantasy Show. I am joined by a couple of the goats. I've got James over here, and I've got um, AB Goat. How are you guys?
Good, man. How was everything, you guys?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Just enjoying the Friday.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, we have um, we have a wonderful weekend ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into the main action this upcoming Sunday, by the way, how wonderful has it been to go from a Thursday night game to having a nice Friday, and then college football's on Saturday, and then boom, Sunday. I basically feel like the months of June, July, they're like, oh, you're in no man's land. It felt like, oh, where is it already? And so, man, I'm happy that we are back. I'm glad that we are back together. Um, just wanted to let everybody know. This is our third Patrick Pucci Fantasy Show on the YouTube channel. We are going to set a DFS lineup up for you guys. I figure, why wait till Sunday for the action? Well, we got it right here with us. But before we do that, there was a game last night, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look, the Bills looked really good, or did the Dolphins look really bad? And yeah, it was unfortunate. Once again, the Tua situation. I don't want to spend too much time discussing that. We already know the history there. However, let's give the credit where the credit is due, and it's to that man. And they let James Cook to three touchdowns, one to the house for 49 yards. What it I mean, like, hello, isn't this what we've wanted, AB? I mean, like, we've been pounding the table. Like, why aren't you giving James Cook the ball, especially in the red zone, especially after what we saw last weekend with Josh taking it in for two touchdowns on his own? It's like we
Mm-hmm.
thought we were seeing the same thing from last season. However, yes, we finally got a little bit of a change of pace. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, Odysseus, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you hear me calling Odysseus out, it is because of that man right there. He is Odysseus because all he's done since I know him is take off. That's it, like a rocket ship. In any event, yeah, I mean, the story of the game is James Cook, or was the story of the game how shitty the Dolphins defense is? Maybe a little combination of both. What do you think?
I I personally think Miami had a plan. It's just an unfortunate workout that they wanted, right? Um, I think we finally learned that the Bills have a really good offensive line. Like if you take a look, Josh Allen didn't even throw for 200 yards, right? They heavily relied on their O line. James Cook came into town, and he showed a huge splash. And I think this is something that will definitely continue. And this is really good for the Bills and Josh Allen fans because he will have to do less rushing. So, not taking anything away or taking a shot at Tua, I think we're going to see Josh Allen healthy for a very long time, as long as we can, the Bills can keep this up. And I think, you know, historically, Bills do play Miami very tough, right? And, the trend did continue. Um, you know, Bills defense, which is still, I think, is still very, underrated. But I think we finally learned that the Bills defense, well, air attack wise, they can hold, powerhouse like Tyreek Hill, Waddle. Jonnu had a pretty good game, which was very surprising to me
Me
because
too.
Bills are very, very tough against the tight ends. But obviously, they do need to work on their run defense. And you know, there are missing a lot of starting linebackers. So as they come
Mm-hmm.
back, I think people will be definitely talking about the Bills as a contender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
I mean, I'm sorry.
go ahead,
Yeah,
please.
the only people who aren't really happy about this are Josh Allen fantasy managers, because the best version of Josh Allen is when he's running over people, leaping over people, diving into the end zone. But that's not the best version of the Bills. If the Bills want to maximize Josh Allen, what they did last night is what they have to continue to do. They have to continue to run the ball. They have to continue to control the line of scrimmage, and they have to just let him, make a few passes here and there. He leaks out on a rollout, on a bootleg, and he hits Khalil Shakir for like a 12-yard pass, or he hits Dawson Knox for like a 6-yard gain. But they just keep the chains moving and they keep running the ball. So I think that they're a much better team when Josh Allen doesn't have to do everything by himself. And James Cook is so talented. That man is so talented. And a lot of people were saying that Ray Davis coming on the Bills was going to take touches away from James Cook and things like that. But even then, James Cook scored 3 touchdowns on like 6 touches? Like, he's electric.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned Ray Davis, because I was actually thinking, I don't know why I'm going in rewind, because I definitely want to see week 3. But yeah, I'm thinking Latavius Murray. I'm thinking Josh Allen myself. Like, yo, you have this uber talented running back, 2-way player. You pass him the ball or utilize him like you would utilize a regular prototypical running back. And yes, you have someone that can easily finish top 5. Easily. But again, we definitely need to continue to see the usage. We have to monitor what the situation is in terms of whether it was, again, I don't want to take away any credit from the Bills, but I also want to acknowledge, I don't think the Dolphins defense is very good at all.
Yeah, no, it's too many new pieces. I think their defensive front, they lost a couple of guys and they drafted a couple of edge rushers. So I think that, them being young up front didn't really help them in last night's game. So, and the Bills offensive linemen, they just controlled the game. They dominated the entire game. So I don't think that the Dolphins defense is that good. And they have a new defensive coordinator too. And that's been the theme for the past 2 weeks. Majority of the teams around the league that have struggled, it's been because they have new defensive coordinators. So, it takes a little bit of time for those guys to gel, to get their calls down, to get their chemistry together. So yeah, I think they'll have a rough go for a few weeks.
Yeah. So one of the surprising stat that I found just kind of going over last night is the time of possession, right? Bills scoring so many more points, but they were actually really, really quick with it. So Bills had the possession just under 24 minutes, and Miami had the ball for well over 36 minutes.
Explosive plays.
Yeah, and that was just very, very surprising.
The James Cook play was on the first play, 49 yards to the house. I mean, it's just quick.
And even the pick 6 was a explosive play too.
Correct. Hey, look, I think I don't want to say that we were giving the Bills, or we weren't giving them, again, enough credit heading into the season. New wide receiver core. The Bills defense was going to be a little shaky. And yes, right, all that. And at the same time, let's not overreact due to the fact that it is still week 2. Let's see it. Right. It's very promising. It was encouraging to see them play. Go down to Miami, division rival, and they're 2-0. Yes, again, the wide receiver core, brand new, still together. Looks like Khalil Shakir will be his go-to guy. I mean, yes, I know that Keon Coleman.
He's still a rookie though. It'll take him some time.
True. Right.
But the new wide receiver thing though, it's kind of overblown. Like, we've seen it happen almost every single season, where a quarterback loses their number 1 wide receiver, and because of that, they're able to distribute the ball more instead of focusing on one guy. Like, Matthew Stafford had a career year after Megatron left. Then you have Mahomes had a really good season after Tyreek left. So it's like, losing your number one weapon, if your quarterback is dynamic enough, then he can overcome not having a number one guy, because then all you have to do is have a good enough scheme, have a good enough, line, have, decent players, and all he has to do is just find the open man. So I think I have Josh Allen to be the MVP this year. And I do think that it's the Bills' division to lose because they still have the best quarterback.
Okay, well, I mean, the last part of the Bills division to lose, yeah, it probably is based on that. A little bit of the bias coming from Gotham. The Jets might be able to get that division. Most likely not, but still, I don't know. I think the Jets might be able to at the same time as well. Again, it is probably, you know what? The great TD Nash had the tweet. Again, I'm going to continue to refer to this because for some reason, like it was like, okay, there's all these wonderful quarterbacks. Who's got the most pressure going into the season? And I said immediately, it's Josh Allen. He's the one where the team is all on his shoulders.
Hey, I just got to give a quick shout out.
You want to answer that? Go ahead, James.
Yes. A lot of people know him as Disco. Big Draft Energy. He had James Cook in top 5 this year.
Nice.
I did not believe him.
That's a good call.
With the Bills O-line, where they're going, big shout out to Big Disco.
Big shout out to Big Disco. I could also show you 5 drafts ranging from late June all the way to September 4th that have James Cook in it also. However, that's not to take away one bit whatsoever from the Big Draft Energy Disco, which I'm sure will be on this channel at some point, hopefully very soon, and vice versa. This is a dude that we've known now for over a year. Phenomenal guy, phenomenal content. Phenomenal goat. Fellas, do you want to get into a little bit of DFS?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, we got all weekend to talk ball all the way through Monday. Let me see if I got this figured out here on my third show. Probably not, but let's try. We'll go over here. We'll share over here. Yeah, I'm not sure. Hopefully you guys can see it.
Yep.
Fantastic. So this is what I thought we would do. AB, James, we've got the games here, right? We've got the implied totals with the lines. Are there any guys in this game whatsoever that we may want to use in a DFS lineup? By the way, we should probably do this also. A PSA. If you're going to gamble, if you're going to bet, if you're going to do DFS, if you're going to do props, always do it responsibly. Always.
That's right.
Only bet what you could afford to lose.
Yep.
That's it. That's the PSA. I'll be smart enough to put the banner in next time to do that PSA. However, guys, we know the players here. Actually, there are a bunch of players here. We got Derek Carr. We got Dak. We've got Chris Olave. We got CD. Any of these guys stand out that we may want to use as a quarterback, wide receiver, running back? Oh, by the way, I don't know. I mean, do you guys have like a set way that you would want to set a lineup? Like, what's the best approach that you take, AB?
So what I like to do is I like to look at the values in the quarterbacks, because the quarterbacks are the main playmakers. They're the guys who are going to touch the ball, every single down. So I like to try and get a guy who is either has a really high floor, rushing with their rushing yards or rushing touchdowns, because I know the rushing touchdowns count for more points than the passing touchdowns. So unless there's a quarterback that we're 100% sure is going to throw for a whole bunch of touchdowns, it's nice to get like a rushing quarterback, someone that's not too expensive, like a Jaden Daniels. That's a really good option, because we know he'll at least scramble, he'll at least use his legs, and then he'll probably throw a touchdown maybe. But I think that he's a good value at 7,900. Some of the more expensive guys all the way at the top, like near 9,000. Like getting those guys is guaranteed points, but it restricts you on, the
Building the
kinds
what?
of skill players that you can get. You can fill up the rest of your roster with. And I like using majority of the balance on a running back, like a solid running back and an elite wide receiver.
It seems pretty fair. It seems pretty legit, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, sure. Lamar Jackson going at a high price. We know that he's giving us all the rushing upside. We know that he could possibly throw for 2-3 touchdowns. The matchup, the Raiders. Now, if this was in reverse, like if the Ravens were in Las Vegas, I would say that this might be more in favor of the Raiders based on, the Raiders have or expected to have a good defense. However, the Raiders had to travel to Baltimore. So I don't know if I could imagine them like putting up a good amount of points, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I
This
kind
could
of
be
feel
one of
like,
those games that gets ugly really fast.
absolutely. James, anybody in the Saints Cowboys game that you may want to take a look at?
Saints and the Cowboys game right now. If I'm taking a look at it, Saints. I mean, you can't really put their defense value from who they faced last week. But one person I'm definitely not going to be interested in paying will be Olave. But I do predict Lamb to have a very strong game. He's going to have a strong game every week, but with Dallas's weak running game, if Lamb is there at a good value, he's definitely one that I would target.
Yeah, that's what I would take from that game too. Because so usually like players like Lamb, because he's such a high volume player, it's rare that he'll have two bad weeks in a row. And last week wasn't necessarily a bad week, but they didn't really need him as much. And I think he only had like 6 receptions or something like that. So this week is a prime week, especially with the Cowboys at home. They score a lot of points at home, so it's possible CD could put up a touchdown or maybe even 2.
And you know who's out for Dallas, right? Ferguson is out.
Right.
So I think Lamb's just going to get a ton of targets.
Extra targets, yeah.
Or is it perhaps like wide receiver 2, which would be of higher value for us, or a greater value play? No. And
that's
true. That's right. That's kind of like what I wanted to get at, in terms of, yes, we know like CD's like upside, and again, the potential for a huge boom is off the charts. However, like we're gonna have to spend a pretty penny for him. Why don't we go through some of these other games, or let's try to get through the main slate, and then we'll try to we will build the lineup. Because again, this is just the first game, and we're already we could probably already finish with just the Cowboys Saints. What about why don't we touch up on the Saints real fast? Kamara, Carr, Olave, any of these guys perhaps of interest? Just put a pin in that. Just think about that for a minute. Bucks, Detroit, 51.5. High total. Auntie, Gibbs, Laporta, who didn't have a game last week. Amon-Ra St. Brown, back to AB's point with Lamb last week. Is he going to go off again this week? And now the Bucks, look at what the Baker Mayfield looked like Tom Brady.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have weapons everywhere and a solid O-line.
And it didn't look like they missed Dave Canales one iota.
Yeah,
they utilized the rookie running back alongside of Rashad White.
Bucky Irving, love him.
Yeah, you do?
Yeah, I love Bucky Irving. He has more juice than Rashad White, especially as a rusher. Like I think he's a guy who can probably take over that backfield around like weeks 8 or 9, because Rashad is he's a guy he's a great athlete, but he's not really a good running back. He's only played the position, I think, for 2 years when he was at Arizona State, I believe he played. So he doesn't really have the nuances of being a running back down. But Bucky Irving is a pure rusher. Like he has juice, he has speed. When he hits the hole, he just hits the hole. He gets the yardage and he moves forward. Like he's not like dancing behind the line, trying to get shifty, trying to move left to right. Like he's a north and south runner.
Could he take over the backfield?
I think so.
Wow.
I think so.
James, could you imagine all the Rashad White owners right now listening to
I'm one of them.
That's it right there. So we got we're big Bucky Irving fans.
Mm-hmm.
All right, gentlemen, let's go to a game that I mean, like, all right, it's not like the sexiest game on the slate.
Right.
However, again, there's several dudes on here. Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr. scored a touchdown last week. And then the Browns, I mean, like, forget the quarterback. I mean, we know that there's a serious issue going on there. Jerome Ford, Jarius. We call him Jarius Wolf Ford on the Patrick Pucci Fantasy Show. We are big Jerome Ford fans here. We are. Again, the implied total 41.5. So I mean, like, they're not like, what are they expecting there? They're expecting a 21-10 game, a 28-10 game. I mean, that's not a high.
Yeah.
That's not a high total. Therefore, you don't get a lot of points. Yes.
Running backs are the most valuable pieces in games like that. Games that are low scoring, it'll most likely be, a ton of rushes. Maybe one of them falls into the end zone in the fourth quarter, or maybe one of them, like Travis Etienne, could potentially score a touchdown early, things like that. But it'll be a lot of, I think it'll be a sloppy game. There'll be a lot of mistakes. It'll be a bunch of field goals possibly.
So this is what
the only player I like is Travis Etienne out of this game, but I think Jerome Ford, depending on the price, could be a really great value.
So that's what I was just looking at. As a matter of fact, $6,300 for Jerome Ford in comparison to they already looks like they already corrected the market with Zach Charbonnet, $6,300.
Oh yeah,
he wouldn't have been 60.
Nope.
He wouldn't have been this price without Kenny Walker news. No,
yeah,
absolutely not. Odysseus, how your Jaguars?
Yeah, I'm definitely staying away players from this game. I don't think Ford's giving me enough value. Like Jags power, their defense strong side is their run defense. But with Deshaun Watson's shoulder injury, I'm still not trusting any of their receivers, tight ends, or whatnot. I'm gonna go with ETN. I think he only had 3 targets last week, so I think with Brown's top 3 tough defense, I think we're gonna see a lot more passes, dump offs to ETN, not Ingram. I'm projecting Ingram to have a terrible game this week, so my money will be definitely on ETN.
All right, that's something to definitely consider. Travis
Ingram only has good games when Christian Kirk doesn't play.
True. But then again, you also got the Browns defense. Like they're on the road.
Well, keep in mind too, Browns defense was, I believe, I don't have the figures in front of me, but probably top 3 against tight ends. And when I see that,
because they have good
alarms
safeties.
go off.
Yeah.
Let's move on, gentlemen. The Niners, the Christian McCaffrey-less 49ers are in Minnesota. Now, 46.5, doesn't matter whether he's playing or not, which he's not. He may be missing more time, which we'll save for another show, another topic. Jordan Mason will get another start. Should we expect another 150 yards on the ground and a touchdown from Jordan Mason in this game in Minnesota? Now, the Vikings defense isn't really that good. Their defense is never really that good, ever, as far as I can remember. I don't care who's the defensive coordinator there. However, the Niners are on the road. We know that they're a different team on the road, but again, I mean, Ayuk didn't have a good game last week. Debo did.
He's due for a bounce back.
Do they look for Kittle on the road? Due for a bounce back. Yeah, Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy didn't have a good game last week, did he?
He had an okay game by his standards. Yeah, it was okay. I read an article earlier where they were talking about his stats going against teams for the second time. Like the first time he plays them, he'll have like an okay game against them, and then the second time he plays them, he like demolishes them. So the last time he played the Vikings, he had like a 64% completion percentage. He threw for like 220 yards. So like I think that he's primed to have a really good passing day, especially because I know Shanahan's gonna want to get Ayuk involved again. He's going to want to get that passing game going a little bit. And I do think that Minnesota's front might stop Jordan Mason from having the same numbers that he did last game. So he might still put up maybe like 40, like maybe like 50, 60 yards, maybe, but I don't think he's going to eclipse 100 again.
Well, I hope Jordan Mason has a good game. He doesn't have to have 150 yards again, but
Right.
I do have him inserted now in a lineup or two. Odysseus, are you a Ty Chandler guy or are you an Aaron Jones guy? I'm only one guy on this team. That would be JJ. There's nobody else on this team. It really isn't. Yeah. Sam Darnold had a good game last week. That's flukish against the Giants. This defense, the Niners defense, could perform on the road versus many other teams in this league that can't perform on the road like the Browns. Odysseus, any Vikings other than Justin Jefferson?
Well, here's a little trivia for you guys.
Trivia.
When was the last time San Francisco won a game in Minnesota?
Zero.
It's been a very long time.
Yeah, it's been a
like
really long time.
28, 30 years.
Good Lord.
When I saw that, I was very, very shocked, right? It's like one team just has a very hard time playing another team. And, Minnesota's, they had a pretty good O-line. Their defensive side, their strength is actually run defense. They were about top 7, top 8 versus run defense last year. But if Trent and the at San Francisco O-line plays like the way they did last week, Mason definitely can run easily 130 yards on him. But after looking at the history, and we know how good San Francisco is, not touching anyone.
Mm-hmm. And didn't the Vikings upset them during this last matchup? The last matchup they had.
That I don't know, but when I
when was that?
I think. Hold on.
Yeah, no, by all means. While you're looking at that, AB, let's give a shout out to My Mind is a Weapon. It is a powerful weapon. That is Sleazeball Fantasy Football. Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate you very much. Your mind is a weapon. Tua's mind is a weapon. That's correct. And someone ought to protect himself from himself. But I don't think the league is going to do that. I just thought of that because of the name of the podcast that Sleazeball put together. My mind is a weapon. It is. It's a powerful instrument. And this is now, God knows, 4 or 5 times documented that Tua's got a concussion. That's not good. I'm sure he'll get cleared in 2-3 weeks to play football. But again, someone's got to be able to protect him from him. Anyway, let's get back to present.
So I found it actually. So week 7, 2023, the Niners went into Minnesota as 6.5-point favorites and lost 22-17.
Oof.
Interesting.
Yep.
No,
So I think Minnesota minus 5.5 is looking like a good play for Sunday.
Well, you know as well as the rest of us, right? These guys don't set the lines just by like picking numbers out of a hat.
Exactly right.
There's definitely a method to the gambling madness. Same thing with the totals. The totals, though, I kind of like I figured out how they get to the totals, but that's again different discussion. Only bet what you could afford to lose, gentlemen. and
What's
ladies.
Debo at? What's his value at?
Oh, let me tell you right now. And Disco, if you're still listening, watching, I appreciate you. You'll have to give me a tutorial on how to get the screen better um, for the audience, and I'm sure that you'll be able to do that for us. Debo's price is 7,300.
Whew. Okay,
It's
because
a, it's
I see him having a really good game. Um, I don't know what the Ayuk situation is right now, if they're going to let him loose, but I think the Debo is the one that's going to be scoring the most points in this game.
Well, I think it could actually be Ayuk because Ayuk was given some chances last game and he dropped 2 touchdowns. So I think that this could be one of those games where like Ayuk comes in with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. You know, he just got
Right, right.
paid and now he's trying to like redeem himself from last week. And, you know, granted, they didn't need those 2 touchdowns for him to, you know, for him to do some damage. But I think he'll come in this next game and he'll want to prove something.
this is one of the best route runners in the game.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the
Top
best
three,
wide.
baby.
He's one of the
Yep.
best. He's the one of the best wide receivers in the game. Now, does that necessarily translate into like fantasy points like that for us at all times from throughout the years? No.
Right.
His fantasy production isn't the same as his actual route running,
Right.
yards after the catch, and all that other stuff that makes
Ability
him
doesn't always equal points.
correct. So yeah, the only reason why, again, like they utilized Debo in that jet sweeps and all that rushing stuff that
He's their RB2.
San Fran loves to do, and Debo, they looked really good doing it last week. That's the only reason why, if I had to go one over the other here, I would go Debo. The only reason. Am I a Brandon Ayuk manager over Debo every day of the week, every lineup, every league, and 10 times on Sunday? All right, we'll get back to this game.
And what was the price differential between Debo and Ayuk?
Debo's coming in at 7,300, and Brandon Ayuk is not more. So Brandon Ayuk is actually 7,000.
7,000. Oh wow.
Yep. All right, gentlemen. We're about halfway through. Some of these games are there. Chargers. -4.5 in Carolina, 38.5. The Chargers, it's the JK show. How about a little Lad McConkey? I bet you Lad McConkey's price is still pretty decent,
Probably.
right? I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is 6,500. Lad McConkey should be, what, 6,000?
55?
It might be cheaper than that, yeah. Because they're 57, yeah.
Yep, you guys know more than I do. This is why I have the goats on here.
Yeah, it's a low passing volume offense in a game where they're favored. So like, you know, the running backs are probably going to get majority of the work. So they're probably not expecting the wide receivers to do much.
I'm glad you mentioned that. The running backs. We don't really have that much else to talk about in this game. But what about Justin Herbert?
Yeah, no. Justin Herbert is pretty much JJ McCarthy in Michigan right now. Like Justin Herbert went undrafted in so many of my leagues, and I thought that was strange. But after seeing the way that the Chargers played, like last weekend, I realized why. Because they're legit only going to ask him to throw the ball maybe like 17 to 20 times a game, and that's not what we're accustomed to with Justin Herbert.
Could we envision an opportunity here based on the matchup where Harbaugh would say, you know, let's open it up. Let's see what the receivers could do. Why don't we try to get Quentin Johnston into the end zone through the air? Obviously, well, why don't we get some like gas with Justin Herbert? And if there was ever a matchup to do it with, wouldn't it be this one?
Nah,
I mean, no.
I don't think Harbaugh is an ego guy. Like I think Harbaugh is a guy who he'll show up on Monday and he'll say, "Listen, we're gonna play the Panthers. This is not gonna be an easy game. We're gonna buckle our bootstraps and we're gonna run the ball down their throats because Derek Brown is out for the year now. So like they're just gonna run up the A gap, up the B gap, up the A gap, up the B gap. They're just gonna run the ball down their throats. And Harbaugh is the type of person that if Justin Herbert has to throw the ball 5 times on Sunday, he will throw the ball only 5 times on Sunday. He's not gonna try and get cute and try and get fancy and try to open it up. I don't think so.
He's in other words, you don't think they will deviate from their
I don't think so at all.
Their modus operandi. They're like they're just gonna pound them till they submit.
Yep.
I mean, I guess so. Unless or they're losing in the ball game, right, Odysseus? I mean, weren't we saying that in the off season? Like, look, the Chargers win total for the season couldn't have been any greater than 8 or 9 wins. That means that they're gonna be losing ball games at one point. Probably not this point against the Panthers, but there will come a time in the fourth quarter Justin Herbert's gonna have to throw the ball. But again, we'll save that for another week, another matchup. But Justin Herbert's too damn good. He's right. Like he's a very good quarterback.
Keep in mind, I don't think he's still 100% healthy.
That's true too.
Well, his foot. Right? Well, that's a different. That's a completely different story. There's this Raiders game that we were talking about a little bit earlier. Will the real Zamir White please stand up? God Almighty, maybe you know how big of the Zamir White goat house we are.
Yeah, we're all on that hype train.
I'm nervous for him. I bet you his price is really, really good right now. But again, based on what we saw last week with almost a 50-50 split. By the way, a 50-50 split by the running backs, yet Alexander Mattison doesn't carry the ball. So that's just not good. You need it's if anything, you have to establish the run with a running back that carries the ball through the A gap, through the holes. But again,
it's hard to run the ball in negative game script though.
Yeah, it is.
And I've already come to the conclusion that I'm only going to play Zamir White in favorable matchups because anything that requires the Raiders to get into a shootout, Zamir White is going to get erased from the game plan because he's not a pass catcher. He's not going to be out there on third down. He's a plotter, and he's, when they get to the point where they play easier teams, then you can start him and you know that he'll get 20, 25 carries that game. But especially in a game like this against the Ravens, I would start Alexander Mattison over Zamir White.
The Who's Soaked, who's in the chat, says that Zamir, we trust him. You're right.
Oh, yeah?
You're right, Goat. We do trust him. We trust him. It was only week 1. That's right.
True.
Now, wouldn't it be fitting, though? And this is just the way the NFL works, Odysseus. You know this as well as anybody here in the industry, really. Right? Just when you think you're in a tough matchup, where you've got a tough front 7 and they give up or they only allow low amounts of points, under 100 yards a game, this will be the game that Zamir White goes for well over 100. 2 touchdowns. It could have, it's not out of the question. The numbers probably don't suggest it. However, it would only, look, I've seen it happen. We've seen it happen. Okay.
Well, if you take a look at Ravens defense, right? Top 3 versus the quarterbacks, top 4 versus tight end, I believe. Top 3 against the wide receivers. Their only weakness was against the running backs. And that level was, I believe they were top 7 or top 8. For me to start Zamir against this monster Baltimore defense, it's not happening. I'm sorry. I don't care if it was only at $2,800, $3,000. I'm not taking any chances.
3,000 of their dollars or 3,000 of your dollars?
Well, in DFS.
Okay.
If you gave me $3,000,
just
I would put
sure.
that into investments.
I'm just making sure. Just making sure. Okay, here we go to the Seahawks. Okay, laying 3.5 in Foxborough, 38.5. That's not a very high score. Again, we know why. There's really, Zach Charbonnet is probably a solid play.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, he's going to get all the volume in that backfield
He's
with Kenneth Walker out.
That's correct. He's getting all, like last week, it was like, okay, we knew that Kenny Walker was the starting running back.
Mm-hmm.
There was a possibility that Zach Charbonnet was going to either spell him or there was going to be some sort of split, 70-30, 80-20, which really was like 95-5. But yeah, Charbonnet did score when he got his opportunity. Now, as you said, right, he's got the backfield all to himself, all the volume. There's still 3 wide receivers with Seattle. Still 3 wide receivers. I only like one. A lot of people are DK people, and that's fine. I'm JSN. We're waiting for JSN. That's who I would put in my lineup. But what do you think? Are you JSN? Are you DK? Do you like Geno?
At value, out of all of their players, I think Tyler Lockett probably has the best DFS value because I think he'll be the cheapest, and I think Tyler Lockett is the type of player who'll get you like 7 for 75 on like the most quiet 75 yards you've ever seen in your life, and I think that he'll be the cheapest one out of all 3 options.
I bet
so like that he would be like, if you're looking for like a last player to round out your roster, I think Tyler Lockett would come at a great value.
Oh boy, Tyler Lockett. I mean, look, he didn't really do anything to me personally, obviously. But
Tyler Lockett reminds me of Doug Baldwin.
That's it. It's like Tyler Lockett. Like I remember Doug Baldwin was like fantasy relevant when I started to play fantasy. That's how I know Tyler Lockett has been playing this long. It really hasn't been that long. It's only been like 10 years. I think he's
something like that. Yeah.
Right. He's 2014, I believe, but still, you didn't draft JSN 17th overall last season to just use him like this. I'm sorry. In any event, New England Patriots. No, Ramondre Stevenson had
just Ramondre Stevenson. Yeah,
it's just Ramondre Stevenson. Again, whether I don't know which New England Patriot wide receiver there would be a value to you here. It could be any one of them. Any one of them at any given time. They're going to throw to the open receiver. If there is an open receiver, Odysseus, no Patriots, right? Or do you have a wide receiver in mind?
No, I think we might see a little bit more Hunter Henry this week.
Yeah.
Seattle's the week, their defense is just pretty bad. We might have thought, they had a pretty good secondary, but everything just fell apart. But, one thing that I know for sure is they still have a very weak run defense and against the tight ends. So fire up Stevenson. I'm might take a look at better stats on Henry. But in terms of if you're asking me if I can trust anyone, Hunter Henry, I'm getting there, but until further notice, it's just Stevenson. And for the Seahawks, I think we're going to see Metcalf coming up party this week. Obviously Lockett led the, I believe he had 7 or 8 targets. Metcalf only had 4. No disrespect to New England's defense. They still have very strong run defense, but they do have some standout secondary. But I think it's Pepper's guy that I'm thinking of. He might be out, and they don't really have that strong corner or safety that can actually put a lot of pressure on Metcalf. So I'm expecting Metcalf to do very well this week.
And Metcalf went against Patrick Surtain last week too, so that's that's a tough matchup.
Yeah, there was a start sit. Should the person? It was DK Metcalf or Drake London. Of course, I said Drake London. Somebody else said DK Metcalf. We were both wrong. Right? I mean, like Drake London was non-existent because Kirk Cousins was non-existent. We don't think we're getting to that game because it's the prime time.
Yeah, it's the Monday game. Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's good because I'm getting old just thinking about it. No, seriously, like okay, like we expected there to be like some sort of awakening with Kirk Cousins, and now we're also being told like this could still be an issue with his heel.
Yeah, it's an Achilles.
Based on how he was like maneuvering on a drop back.
And the amount of plays they ran out of shotgun, so he wouldn't have to drop back.
Exactly. So that's a problem because he only operates under center. He's only operated under center and drops back 5 steps.
Right.
Oh my God. Yes. So that this could be a serious problem if you're a Drake London owner. Kyle Pitts, although he did score, but not a really good game. Six points and then like what? Add the catch. I think it was about a 10-point game, if not under that. Anyway, where are we, fellas?
Colts and Packers. My guys.
These are you guys. These are your guys. Now, Anthony Richardson is the highest priced quarterback on the board, and he's the highest priced on the board for a reason. JT did not have a good game, but he's priced high. Wouldn't this would be look, and I'm gonna tell you this, but Odysseus, they tried to get Adonai Mitchell in the end zone not once but twice. I love Adonai Mitchell. I'm not a big Pittman guy, AB. I'm not. I never was.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Yeah. Pittman leaves a lot to be desired. And there are some film guys who point out the fact that sometimes he lacks effort when he runs his routes. So like I kind of get why people are down on Pittman. I think Adonai Mitchell is a good play if Josh Downs does not play. Because then if Josh Downs plays, then he's gonna take away from a lot of his slot snaps. So he's gonna get less snaps, but they're gonna be on the outside. Whereas if Josh Downs doesn't play, then Shane is gonna rotate Adonai Mitchell outside and inside. So he's a great play if Josh Downs doesn't play.
Odysseus, any Colts?
Yeah. So
any Packers?
Just looking at from the DF standpoint, look what Barkley and that O-line did to Green Bay, right? I'm just going to go back to last year, right? Green Bay's defense strength is their secondary. They were god-awful against the running backs. So if you had to pay a little bit of heavy price to running back room, JT is just going to run wild.
And JT played at Wisconsin.
And there you go. And I truly believe Indy has top 3 O-line. But in return, on the flip side, Green Bay also has a very good O-line. And I think Indy has a stronger secondary versus their run defense. So if I had to plug someone in a little cheaper, I would definitely consider Jacob, because Indy does have a weak run defense. And if you are kind of pressed for tight end, look for Kraft to get more touches this week.
It's like the tight end by committee. Is Luke Musgrave playing or no?
Well,
yeah, but last week, if you take a look at the stat lines, Musgrave was just forgotten.
Well,
that's all Kraft.
But that's my point, right? It's like the tight end by committee. It's like the running back by committee. Tight end by committee. It could be either one. It's a crapshoot. The tight end position's a crapshoot, but I bet you they're cheap.
Yeah, but I think that the difference was that last year, throughout there would be multiple games where Musgrave and Kraft, like, they split touches because of the fact that they were both rookies, they were both drafted late. But in the first game, Kraft outsnapped him by like a ridiculous amount. Yeah. So I think it's very possible that Tucker Kraft might have overtaken him in the pecking order.
Alrighty. We'll get that.
Yeah, and then keep in mind too, with Love gone, obviously they're going to lean heavily on Jacobs, right? So I think depending on how much his price is, he's definitely someone that you have to look at.
Alrighty, we're going to my Jets in Tennessee, in Nashville, 41.5. There's 2 Jets. There's only 2 Jets. There's only 2 that you would consider. Both of them are high priced, and we know why. The Titans, what we thought going in was, again, a split backfield, whether it be 55-45 or 50-50. Tony Pollard completely out-snapped, out-dominated, looked good. Tajay Spears, but I'm not sure if they're going to change that or not. Like that. That's why it's still to me. That backfield is still ambiguous and still a crapshoot until we get more of a sampling. DeAndre Hopkins is making his return. Is he worth a look?
Not against Sauce Gardner, he isn't.
What, I don't think. Would Sauce guard DeAndre Hopkins, or is Sauce gonna? Or
he would have to.
What about Calvin?
He would. I mean, Calvin is just. I don't know. Like I feel like anytime a player in the NFL takes more than a couple of months off from playing football, whenever they come back, they're never the same, like ever again. And I think that's what's happening to Calvin Ridley. Like even on the Jaguars last year, there were so many plays that like he didn't finish. There were so many plays where like he would drop touchdowns in the end zone. Like he would like run routes and he would run them at like 3/4 speed and things like that. And I just think, I don't know, like maybe I don't want to say that like the love isn't there for him anymore, but he's definitely not playing like Falcons Calvin Ridley. So like I don't think that they would pay that much attention to him. And the Jets have plenty of capable DBs. They can rotate anyone on him.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's like DJ Reed's no slouch.
Right.
So like whether it's DJ Reed on Hopkins or Sauce on Calvin Ridley, they're rated like 1 and 3 or 2 and 5,
something like
DBs.
that.
So yeah, no, I'm not I'm not necessarily worried about that. Yeah.
The mismatch is the Jets D line versus the Titans O line. That's where the disadvantage is. The biggest disadvantage.
Yeah, without question. And by the way, hot take city, man. Appreciate you being here. B, why don't you cut us some slack, man? Cut us some slack.
What did he say?
You know how bad it's been. It's still bad. We're not out of the woods yet here, for crying out loud. Like half of New York was holding their breath the other night. I mean, like that's no way to live. It's no way to live. What did he say? It's a Jet fan. Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah. My boss is a Jets fan, and every week he always says the same thing. He says that he doesn't really have faith in the Jets, and that's only because he doesn't have faith in Robert Saleh. He says that Saleh is so bad situationally that like no matter what happens, he's gonna find a way to either end up losing the game or he's gonna end up like making a dumb call and something like that. So he's like he has no faith in the Jets.
Look, I mean, like I'm gonna cut Robert Saleh some slack. I know it's biased.
Of course.
I'll cut him some slack because like what real solid situations have they been in to really like drop the ball in? Right. You know what I mean? Like they're 7-10 with terrible quarterback play. Nevertheless, for another show, gentlemen, let's get through this. We'll try to get a lineup in real fast, and then we'll go have some dinner. We'll have some libations. We'll celebrate.
Get the weekend started.
Hell yeah. The Rams.
Oh, this game's gonna be fun.
47.5. This is one of the higher totals on the board.
It's always fireworks when these two teams play.
Yeah. No Puka really shouldn't be any problem.
No.
Unfortunately, I know Rams fans at heart really don't want to hear that, but then again, I bet you when they win, they're really not going to they're not going to be upset about it either. Cooper Kupp looked fantastic, being fed an insane amount of balls. Right? I mean, like, how many? That's it.
Yeah, 21 targets.
It's just an insane number. It's an insane number. I would expect that to correct itself. Distributed a little bit more evenly. Maybe Demarcus Robinson. Maybe you got the Jordan Whittingham rookie that nobody's talking about other than Rhino. And then the other dude. Is there a Ty?
Tyler Johnson.
There you go. Yeah. Running back, Odysseus. I mean, look, Kyron looked wonderful. There was no who's Blake Hall. Do you know who? Odysseus, have you seen Blake? I haven't seen Blake.
I'm still looking for him, brother.
Yeah.
I love Kyrene.
Yeah,
He's the man for me.
You're not gonna see Blake till like week 8 or 9.
And then there's until week 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Right? And then we're gonna be asking where Kyron is.
Exactly.
Oh my God! What a! I hope that's not the case. I really hope. Marvin Harrison. That's really the only one that we're looking at here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no Greg Dortch. Michael Wilson Jr. No. I wouldn't want them in my lineup in any lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So why would we want them in a DFS lineup?
Yeah, the tight end would probably be a good DFS tight end depending on the price. The McBride.
Trey McBride, of course.
Regarding the tight end, if you have McBride, but in a DFS, I don't know what his price is. He's a must start for me this week. Last year, Rams were the second worst team versus a tight end. So just take a look at what his price is and go from there.
I'm all over Trey McBride. All over him.
Love it.
Yeah, this game. This is a disaster. Other than
Brian Robinson, Jaden Daniels, and that's it.
That's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't trust Malik Neighbors. You can't trust Malik Neighbors because you can't trust who's throwing to Malik Neighbors.
Yep.
That's a serious problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's a serious problem. Once they're down in the ball game, there goes Devin Singletary. I mean, they look terrible. They looked terrible.
Oh.
Yeah,
one player who could be
Wandale.
Wandale Robinson could be like if you have a slot open and you have a little bit of money. I'm pretty sure his price isn't high, so that's probably somebody you can slot in. And if the Washington ends up running away with it, then he can just get force-fed targets.
I concur with that. Odysseus, here it is, baby. I don't know why this isn't the last game that we go to. I mean, it's actually Don P. Steelers and Broncos are last, but here's the marquee match. This is it right here. 47.5 points. We're waiting for the man. Chase. We trust him. We trust him always.
Oh, yeah.
No T. Higgins. There's Joey B. What's Joey B? Joey B is going to be expensive.
He should be.
Don't trust him this week. Do not trust Burrow this week.
Oh, Joey B is actually pretty cheap. 7,400.
What makes this game different than the other Chiefs Bengals shootouts? Tell me what makes this game different. Because it's earlier in the season?
I mean, I think that puts the Bengals at a disadvantage because it's earlier in the season. Because right now the Bengals are the team that has less continuity. The Chiefs essentially brought back everybody. They added a couple new pieces. Xavier Worthy looks explosive as hell. They have Isaiah Pacheco coming back 100% healthy. They have Rashee Rice escaping suspension this year somehow, and he's come in hungry. I think Travis Kelce usually scores against the Bengals, so I think he's going to have a really good game too. It's just going to be up to the Bengals to see how many points they can score to try and keep up with them.
Right. Points to keep up with them. Odysseus, what are we missing? Why wouldn't you trust? Why wouldn't you trust some fireworks this week?
Guys, it's not going to happen.
Okay? I think this is reverse psychology.
No, you take a look at it. With the Chase, with the Higgins distractions, that locker room is out of control.
Okay?
You tell me one team that is supposed to be fighting for the AFC coming out a season like this, it is going to take 2 to 3 weeks to get it together. And the only way to do that is start winning games. And when they're in KC, yeah, it is hyped up game. But look at the defense they're facing, right? I mean, the Chiefs still at the very high level. The Bengals are down low. This is going to be a blowout.
I think
Joe
so
Burrow
too.
might throw 2 to 3 interception trying to force the game. So in terms of an actual like how the game I see it playing out, personally speaking, and
Mhm.
no disrespect to the Bengals, it's going to be like 52-54-10.
That's very
Yeah,
possible.
I think that's not no. That's reverse psychology. Okay, I do not expect that type of score. I'm not suggesting that the Chiefs are going to lose this ball game. I'm not suggesting that there may be a 45-42 shootout. No, I'm not suggesting that, but I'm not suggesting it being lopsided. No, I don't expect there to be that type of lopsided
It's
game.
definitely possible.
Yeah, I don't see that though. I don't see that. All right, let's go to this game. Jaleel McLovin. That's it, baby. That's it. We've been calling the McLovin since last season, and he has arrived. He arrives to the locker room early. He's arrived. Period. It's Jaleel McLaughlin. Nobody else on that Broncos team.
And
And for the
Pat Fryermuth is good value in this game.
Talking about.
Yeah.
all right, the Muth. Could this be a Justin Fields, like one of those ludicrous games, like like the games where like that they make gifs out of, where he's like just like sliding across the field
No.
because it's raining and shit? Like is it one of those games like Justin
No.
Fields is capable of one of these spiky games?
No.
Not at all. All right.
No.
All right. Fair.
Yeah.
One thing about Denver's defense is they are very good against the quarterbacks. They may give up, above average points, but they're top 5 versus letting that quarterback run. So, Surtain's going to be covering Pickens. That's why I'm sitting Pickens this week. But I'm also sitting, Justin Fields because of how Denver plays the opposing running quarterbacks.
But okay, let's rewind just a second. Are they good against the run?
No.
Justin Fields could run.
Najee will run, but they will always have somebody on Justin Fields
Who's going to spy him?
Oh, they're going to spy him.
They're going to have to.
I'd be surprised if Justin Fields gets more than 40, 50 rushing yards.
You should have been a head coach.
All he needs is one good scramble, though. So it's possible that he might get over on his rushing yards.
That's what I mean. Like, look, if he does get like an explosive run play, then he's going to have to make them respect that, and then that kind of throws Denver's defensive game plan kind of put to the side, kind of, sort of. That's I'm just throwing that wrinkle out there. And again, am I suggesting that all of a sudden like Pittsburgh is going to turn into the offensive juggernaut? No, not necessarily. However, we've seen Justin Fields like do these types of crazy things. Like he had like, again, it's like a 4-touchdown game, and then he disappeared, then he got hurt, and then that's the end of it. And now he's traded for a 6th-round pick. So I mean, like, but there is something there. There is a little bit something there. Okay, this now on paper. On paper, this is expected to be a great game based on the fact of you've got Caleb, the rookie sensation, versus last season's rookie sensation. However, Caleb in his first game didn't breach 100 yards passing. There is some injury in this game. The Texans look fantastic, and I'm sure they're probably high priced as well. The Bears. Anybody on the Bears, Odysseus?
The only one that you're going to be able to trust on the Bears this week will be their tight end, Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
Texans, they have a solid, good defense all around. To me, their only defense is the tight end. And with the 2 wide receivers out, obviously they're going to try to lean against the running backs. But I think Kmet will definitely get some targets.
And on the Texans, now I do not expect another 150 from Joe Mixon. I'm sorry, I do not. I don't know if I expect another 2 touchdowns out of Stephon Diggs, but I think like
Probably
the possibility of him getting like again like that kind of cheapo out of the slot 10-yard touchdown is possible again. I do think
Mhm.
that. Would you play Stephon Diggs? AB is him or perhaps Nico
I
Tank
think it's a Tank Dell week.
Tank Dell?
I think that if they're gonna try and take advantage of the Bears, I think it would have to be coming from the slot, and their outside corners are very 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 good. Their starting safeties are very good as well. So I think that depending on like what type of formations that Houston decides to run, I think Tank Dell might be the person who ends up getting free. Maybe maybe a busted coverage. Maybe he takes a slot corner deep 1-on-1. But I do think that this is like a prime setup for a Tank Dell game. And Tank Dell seems to do really well in primetime games. Whenever he's been like on like national games, like he tends to ball out.
It's true. It's true. All right. So now that this was our last game, let's just get this sucker built real fast.
Mhm.
Real fast. So, I mean, I'll go with whatever you guys want to play. I mean, like again, I want this to be like your collaboration, and I'm just here manning the controls. What do you?
Mhm.
Let's start with
So I just want to
quarterback.
go back to the Rams and Zona game. Obviously,
Okay.
you're starting anyone that you can versus facing Zona. But I don't know what James Conner's price is. He's on my sit list, my bench list this week, because Rams are still very tough against the running backs. So just because his price is low, I don't want people to be suckered in.
Okay, we won't play him. Great tip, also. Not a
Mhm.
big James. I'm not a James Conner guy. I'm not. I'm a Marvin
Okay.
Harrison Jr. guy, and I'm a little bit. I guess I'm a Kyler guy, if I'm a Marvin
Mhm.
Harrison Jr. guy. But I don't have any James Conner whatsoever. Call it like his history is. I'm not. Um, but again, he doesn't look like he's going anywhere,
No,
right? Like he's
he
getting
he gets all the goal line touches.
he's just
Yeah.
like it's just like a bad habit that won't go away.
Speaking of the Rams and Arizona, I
Yep.
did see that Matthew Stafford is priced at 7,200, and I think
Right.
that's a pretty good price for a quarterback, especially one who could have a really good day.
Let's do it. Boom. Would we want to stack this? Now, is that going to be expensive? That would be expensive,
It
no?
depends on who we stack them with.
Well, we have to start we have to start 3 wide receivers. So I guess we
Hmm.
could probably do Demarcus Robinson.
That's what I was thinking, right? Because he's probably the cheaper option.
You know what? This will make Rhino happy also. So why don't we do that?
That's
I mean, look,
exactly what I was thinking.
right? I mean, this will make Rhino happy, and this is what I'm about. Let's
Hey,
find
how
him.
cheap is Atwell? Because he had pretty explosive games last year.
Yeah, but Atwell, because they've added so many new bodies in the receiving room, I think he fell too far down the depth chart. Because now
Okay.
Tyler Johnson is the wide receiver 3.
And then
Okay.
again, am I just seeing things? Am I dreaming this? Didn't Jordan Whittingham get a touchdown called back last week?
I think so, but I think it was on a reverse.
But
Yeah, I think they handed him the ball and then they got called back because of a hold.
I'm pretty sure it was called back. Now here I am. Now this is again through our Commissioner Rhino's call from weeks, months. Praising this dude, talking him up.
He is really good.
Yeah, like one of my closest friends is a Puka Nakua owner in our home league, prize league, and I text him, yeah, go get Jordan Whittingham. Now, like fast forward 48 hours, and I don't hear anything about this dude. All I hear is Demarcus Robinson and then the other guy. Nothing
Hmm.
on Whittingham. So I'm like, you know what? I text him, don't play him yet.
Yeah, not yet.
And again, Could he emerge like Puka emerged last year? It's possible. I think that's what. Again, it's not out of the question. It's not out of the question. Where's Robinson?
Probably all the way at the bottom. He's probably very cheap.
There he is.
Right there. Yep. 5,200. Yeah, that's cheap.
There's the stack. Should we stay with our wide receivers? Now we obviously want to get one that's
Get somebody with some juice.
Juice.
I say Amon-Ra because of the fact that he's usually like a 7 to 8 to like 10 catch guy, and I think he only had like 3 catches last game. So I think that Detroit is going to make a concerted effort to try and get him the ball, especially against Tampa Bay.
Now this is a lot of juice, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
Not 9,000. All right. All right, no problem. As long as we stay under budget.
Right.
How much is Lamb compared to St. Brown?
He's only $100 more.
Okay.
All right, one more wide receiver, fellas. I guess we're going into the mid-range here. You don't want Pickens. Here's Neighbors for 64, Pittman 64, Zay Flowers 63.
That's what I was going to suggest, the Neighbors, because I think a lot of people are kind of washing, Giants off, and they should, but they are also facing Washington. So if they can't have a good game versus Washington, I think there's something wrong. Neighbors still saw the targets.
Yeah, there's something wrong.
Washington is ranked 32nd
there's
against the pass.
There's something very wrong.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, let's go. Malik Neighbors. Should we go to the tight end position, or should we we'll leave the running backs for last?
So if you're looking for a mid-round wide receiver, I would probably look at Neighbors' price and Godwin's.
No, I got Neighbors is in 6,400.
Okay.
I was gonna say check Chris Godwin's price at wide receiver because I think if he's lower or like around the same price as Neighbors, he might be the better play.
Let's take a look.
He's cheaper than Neighbors.
200 less. All right.
We'll just keep it in the back pocket for now.
We're gonna put Chris Godwin in. We'll watch Malik Neighbors go off. That's what happens.
That is what happens.
Let's get 2 running backs. 2 running backs, and we have how much do we have to play with?
32,000.
All right. What do we got here? Pacheco 74, Monty 72. Here's the Jacobs 7,100. J.K. Dobbins 6,800. How about someone? Let's go to the comments. Anybody?
So,
let's see.
How much is Najee Harris at?
66, right there.
Okay. Boom. Najee and Disco likes Najee as well.
Najee's not a bad pick.
Getting AJ Brown and Debo and Brian Robinson and Irving for Neighbors, Lamb and Mason. Yes or no?
And don't forget about Stevenson.
Okay, so gentlemen, getting AJ Brown and Debo and Brian Robinson and Irving
and Bucky Irving. Good Lord. Neighbors, Lamb, Mason.
Neighbors, Lamb, and Mason. Well, I mean, the $1 million question is like, okay, do you believe that Jordan Mason's gonna like play more than just this week? And then, let's say Christian McCaffrey doesn't go on IR. Christian McCaffrey comes back week 3. Now the $1 million question becomes, what's the usage like even when he returns? Mm-hmm. Like it's not like I don't envision Christian McCaffrey getting 100% snap share anymore.
Not anymore, yeah.
Not until like it really matters and they are fully confident that he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, I think you can hold on to Mason for probably
another
a good like maybe 3 or 4 weeks just to see how this pans out.
Correct. Excuse me, can we just stop talking how good Mason is? Because I am trying to get him off Zeke. So you're not really helping. Okay.
Well, it's
Another
not
topic.
necessarily about him being good. It's about CMC not being 100%.
Yeah,
Like that's what it hinges on.
absolutely. This is, I don't know. This is a tough one. It really is. And it's the first time I'm taking a trade on screen like this. So doing the DFS and now trying to decipher this one, a little tricky, but I don't know if I would trade this. I don't.
Yeah, I think it depends if because I know some people still play, like I still play in a couple of standard leagues. So if it was a standard league, I would stick with the AJ Brown, Debo, and Brian Robinson side. But if it's PPR, then long term, Lamb could potentially be the wide receiver one, and then Neighbors has a chance to soak up a ton of targets down the stretch, and you can hold on to Mason just in case something happens to CMC.
Yeah, I mean, again, AJ Brown with Debo, with
Right.
Brian Robinson and Irving for the 3.
Right.
I'd say, yeah. I mean, look, if you're getting more, you're getting an extra player, and this seems to be pretty damn even anyway. I would take it. Getting AJ Brown, getting Debo. That's wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. You're getting
RB2.
Brian. You're getting RB2, and
Mhm.
you're getting a flex.
Right.
That's a good. I would take it. Go ahead, Edgeworth. Good shit. 14-man standard league.
Oh yeah, it's definitely take that. Yeah.
That's it right there. Come back to us. Come back to us with the trophy. Yeah. Come back to us with the trophy. All right, gentlemen. We've got more players to go. Let's try to bang them out. How about Jerry Ford? Jerry Ford against Jacksonville. Jacksonville, one of the best linebackers in the game, right?
Mhm.
How about Zach Charbonnet? Zach Charbonnet at 6,300.
Yeah, I'd take Zach Charbonnet at 63.
Me too.
What's Ramondre Stevenson at?
69.
Mhm.
Yeah, because keep in mind, Charbonnet's facing a pretty good run defense this week.
I know, yeah. But
Right.
again, I want that volume, right? It's a lot of volume. He's shown to be a capable pass catcher too. I mean, that was basically his role last season. That was his touchdown last week. He's going to be used both ways, I have a feeling, and Gino is going to need that. So yeah, let's go with Zach Charbonnet. Who else do we got left?
19. And how many more positions do we have? We have tight end, defense, and flex.
So let's go to the tight end. We'll see what we're working with for flex after that. Okay, tight end. There's George Kittle's 64, Trey McBride 62. Do you want to do? How much do you want to do? Do you want to do the Muth? Odysseus Muth? Wait, we already have Najee.
I do have Muth as a start. I think he's a pretty good because Denver's really weak against tight end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you a crazy question. If Jake Ferguson is out, who the hell's the tight end? We know they want. We know
Shoemaker.
Yeah, we know he wants to hit that guy. No, is it, or is that just like crazy?
So
but I don't think.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't think Shoemaker is as talented as Ferguson, so I think that matters.
I don't think so either. All right, how about
for the tight end? Can you check the price on Tennessee Okonkwo?
Okonkwo, he's right there, 552.
Because Jets are one of their weaknesses against the tight end.
Yeah, they don't really cover the middle of the field. They don't believe in it.
And Levis, who's going to be throwing 2 interceptions, he's going to be pretty mindful after. Mm-hmm. So he's something to look at as well.
All right, we'll pin down the defense, and then we'll know exactly what we're left over with.
Yeah,
I think that's the way we do it. Okay, defense. Saints, no.
I like
Browns.
Denver's defense has a really good matchup,
Mm,
but I
Well,
think they're too expensive.
and we have Najee.
And
We have not
yeah, right,
we have
yeah.
Najee in the lineup. Colts against the Packers.
Colts against the Packers is good. Yeah,
That's not a bad one. Even if
yeah,
you weren't on the show, my guy.
yeah,
No, I'm not even joking.
yeah.
Okay,
Because of
so
Malik Willis.
they'll give up a touchdown, maybe 10
Hmm.
points. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Colts defense. Yeah, even Rhino said Colts D. And that leaves us with fellas, goats.
Ooh, 9,500 for the flex. Let's go.
We could do some serious damage with that.
Hmm.
what was Lamb priced at?
91.
Because the Lamb should eat. I suspect
Yeah.
JT's going to eat as well.
Yeah,
That,
JT was who I was gonna take.
that all right, but even if we did Lamb,
Yeah, we're
we're
still
still
good.
we're still left with $400.
Hmm.
Do we play like that, or do we like max out?
So how
I
much
mean,
was Indy's defense?
Not a lot. 45.
45.
Do you guys want to upgrade that to possibly Chargers defense?
We could do that. Yeah,
All
if
right.
I don't know
if
how
we can
much.
afford it.
I liked the call Rhino, and
Okay. No, let's
but
stick with that then.
no. Well, I mean, we have $400 to play with. We shouldn't leave like
Hmm.
that.
Oh,
44.
Chargers is even cheaper than than the Colts.
Because Willis, he is a pretty bad quarterback, but
Hmm.
my only concern is, Jacob is going to run wild. I don't want to say
Hmm.
wild, but should have a good game.
He's gonna
But
get
they
some
do
yards.
have
Yeah,
capable wide receivers, right?
right.
But no, let's just leave it and then try to upgrade, maybe a running back or wide receiver.
All right, so
Because if I'm not mistaken, Indy does have a quiet and sneaky good secondary, right?
Well, I mean, the secondary is our weakness this year, and we have our starting safety usually is going to be out, and our other starting outside corner is going to be out as well.
Okay.
all right, so the Colts are back in. We have $500. Now let's keep in mind, $500. Najee is $6,600. Zach Charbonnet is $6,300. We can upgrade any one of these players. We can upgrade our third wide receiver. But let's
So open up the running backs, yeah, and see what we'd be able to afford with an extra $500. So it'd have to be anyone in the $7,000 range.
Woo.
So like 7,100 or lower.
Josh Jacobs is 71.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ramadre 69. Let's try to bang out Josh Jacobs. It's
Okay.
the only Packer to rely on this week.
Yeah, so we'd have to drop Najee and start Josh Jacobs. And then we're all maxed out.
Perfect. Gentlemen. Awesome shit. Now where do I submit? Yeah, told you I was
Yeah,
doing this.
into line. Yeah.
All right, good.
So one thing that I will recommend with Jacob is, okay, Willis, he is a running quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's just have to be behind in mind as well, right?
That's good.
Mhm.
We'll let him run to the 5.
Yeah, at the goal line, they're going to hand the ball off to Jacobs.
Get tackled at the 6 and have JJ punch it in. That's
Pretty
all.
much.
Simple. Guys, you've been fantastic. I look forward to doing this with you all season long.
Of course.
Goats. We will be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. for the Patrick Pucci Fantasy Show Week 2 preview show. That's right. We will be back on tomorrow night. Then again on Sunday, and we'll see you throughout the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Odysseus, any closing remarks? AB, any closing remarks at all before we let our viewers go? Here we go. Cheers.
No, man, this was
Thank
fun.
you.
Yeah,
No,
this was fun. Yeah, I had a really good time. It was a pleasure.
this is the name of the game.
Yeah,
Name of the game.
I
You
couldn't read
won't have.
any comments, but thanks everyone for coming out. We'll try to answer some more questions.
We'll do.
Have more guesses.
That's something that we need to. We have to work out those kinks. Believe me. Again, this is our third show, and I'm very excited to continue on. Again, you guys have been great. We'll see you again tomorrow night.
All right, gentlemen. Have a good night.
Good night, gentlemen.
Good night. Thank you.